All right, friends. I am so excited. One, because we're here at month end, and month end is just exciting in itself. I want you guys to drop in the chat if you are super close to finishing out a promotion or a bonus or just hitting whatever goal that you set for yourself for this month. I want to know where you guys are at. Month end is just always got a different kind of energy with it. And I felt like this was such a good time for Kaitlyn to talk with us because we're going to talk a little bit about month end and what you can do now, but also with kind of where I'm wanting us to go in February. She's going to help give us some more clarity in that direction as well. So I think this is just the perfect time for you, girlfriend. I'm excited for everyone to hear from you. And if you guys are on my team specifically, you guys know the drill, but I'm going to make sure everyone on here knows that this is our thing in the new year. We're not just hopping on Zooms where we listen, feel good about ourselves while we're here. We are actively listening, and that means that you're actively taking notes. You're not just hearing it, but you're going to write it and you're going to see it, and that's going to make it stick a little bit different. So if you were on my team, you know you are sending your notes in our team chat or to me personally right after this Zoom. And if you guys aren't, I still want to encourage you to take the notes. You just listen and retain better and differently when you got it written down. All right, you guys. And this is not a Zoom that you're going to want to forget because I know Kaitlyn's got so much fire to drop on us. So girl, if you want to unmute yourself and just tell us a little bit of who you are for those of you guys who don't know, your story with the business, the whole jam.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. First of all, I'm Kaitlyn Desloge. So thank you for having me on. You guys, I actually really connected with Mariah when we were actually flying back home from Jamaica. And so we kind of knew of each other. We've seen each other at a couple events, but it was super cool to connect. But I'm Kaitlyn Desloge. I'm a triple diamond leader with It Works. I've been in this business, you guys, in just 4 days will be my 8-year anniversary, which is crazy because my life was so different before this business. I used to work 3 to 4 jobs. So I'm a college dropout. I dropped out of college. I honestly just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so feel free to put a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt like that. Like I felt like my life was just like on a hamster wheel. I didn't know my life purpose. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so obviously I dropped out of college. I was super broke. And so I started working a bunch of jobs. And yet I was still broke working 3 jobs. And I was still living at home. I was 21 when I first started. So it's kind of crazy because I'm 29 now. So like I've literally been a part of this business my entire 20s. And so I started this while working multiple jobs. And the way I actually came across this was on Facebook. So I was asked, I had a girl, obviously a lot of you guys probably know her, Brittany Cromwell. She's an ambassador diamond. She's my enroller. And she actually lived in the Charlotte area. So she sent me a friend request. She built a relationship with me. And over time, she just one day asked me to join the business. And so that's something that I will always say is make sure you are asking people because I never reached out. And now she has a triple diamond on her team, right? She also followed up with me for 3 months because again, I was super interested, but I was busy and I would forget to respond. So follow up with your people. So finally, after her following up with me like a million one times, I finally jumped in. I was super slow at the beginning. It did take me about, I think it took me about the 3 to 4 weeks to get my 4 customers. It took me a couple months before I signed a team member. Like I didn't move very quickly. But I will tell you, like it took me 4 months to go Ruby. And that was like all I really wanted. I joined because I just wanted some extra income just to hopefully cut back on hours or maybe just be able to have some extra cushion. And I accomplished that. Now, here's the problem for me is I wasn't dreaming bigger. So I stayed there for a very long time. And it wasn't until I went to conference, and you better all be at conference because I'm telling you, conference is what truly just ignited like my fire and allowing me to know that I'm worthy of so much more in life. And so, but I actually shared this on a Zoom the other day, but I feel like I should share this as well. When you go to conference, there's 2 types of people. Type 1 is you go to conference and you take advantage of everything that's there and you come home and you run, you take advantage of the bonuses, you take advantage of everything, right? Or I need to mute my phone. Keep getting all these notifications. Or there's type 2 is you go to conference, you get woohoo excited, but you implement nothing. And I feel like I should share this because my first conference was 2017 and I implemented nothing. And guess what? I stayed exactly in the same spot for another year. And it wasn't until life started changing was, at the time, me and my high school boyfriend were talking about marriage. When my why started to evolve, that's when I started working and taking advantage of conference, taking advantage of everything that they implemented, because I knew I had to make this work. It was my plan A. I had no backup plan. This was the only way I was going to be able to do that, because both my parents are teachers and there's no way that they would have been able to afford that. Right. And so I went all in with my business. I re-ranked Ruby after the 2018 Dark Horse Conference that changed my life. A couple months later went Emerald. A couple months later went Diamond, and then 6 months later was Conference again. It was February 3rd. It was my anniversary, and 25 days later we went Double Diamond. And again, I implemented everything that was there. And during that time, I got engaged. I ended up quitting my jobs a couple months later. And I actually went through a broken engagement. So like a lot of life started happening. But I will tell you, I'm so grateful for this business because it's truly just helped me not have to stress in that time period. Like money was just not a struggle at all. But again, a couple months later, I quit my corporate jobs. So I've been home full time since April of 2019. And let me tell you, it feels so dang good waking up whenever I want to and not being told when I have to go to a job, because that was one thing I hated, was being told when I had to be somewhere and getting denied time off. You guys, there were so many times I got denied time off, requesting it like 3 months in advance. And so it's different things like that. I ended up purchasing my dream car at 24 years old, paid off thousands of debt. I ended up meeting my now husband later that year. And, a few months later, I don't know how deep you want me to go into my story, but I just want you guys to know like the power of just having your blinders on, because life is going to happen. And for me, life really happened. When I came home full time, I was not disciplined with my schedule. Okay. My disciplined schedule was trash. So if you say when you're home full time, you have more time on your hands and you can work your business more, it's actually more difficult, because when I was working full time and working 40 plus hours a week, that's when I went Double Diamond. That's when I went Diamond. But when I came home, I was not disciplined. And so my business actually suffered. I was doing good for the first few months, but then I got really comfortable. I accomplished all these goals, right? And I started like, some of my team kind of slipped, like life was happening. And so I let life get the best of me. And by the end of that year, Kaitlyn got really complacent and I dropped all the way to Ruby, you guys, like full transparency. And it sucked because I was like, I'm making like 4 to 6K a month income disclosure as a double, dropping all the way down to $500 a month. Like, this ain't going to cut it. And it was in that reality check around December when I had to pull out a credit card again, which sucked. Because I'm like, I just paid off all this freaking debt. Like, what did I do? Right. But it was in that decision I had to realize, Kaitlyn, you either are going to have to go get a 9 to 5 again, or you need to pull up your big girl panties, have your blinders on, and get back to work and go triple. Like, that was my vision. And so in December, I was paid as a Ruby. In January, I like to share this because this is God, okay? This ain't Kaitlyn. This is God. When you have God in your business, things change, okay? So in January, I was paid as Ruby. February, I got back Diamond, went to conference, okay? And then the next month, I was paid as a really strong Diamond. I was just shy of getting back double at 20,000 group volume. And then the next month, we went triple Diamond. So in a matter of 4 months, and a lot of craziness happened during that time. But I will tell you, God was in it. And that was also the same time I started dating my husband too. So like being in a new relationship, like life, and that's also during the pandemic too. There was like a lot of life changes. But ever since then, obviously like me and my husband, we had our dream wedding, and, we just recently moved into this beautiful little 2-bedroom home and with a garage. We love it. And now we're working towards purchasing a home in the next year or two. So we're super excited. This business has changed my life, y'all. And now my husband does this with me now too, which is exciting.
I love it. Your husband is one of the literal sweetest people I've probably ever met. Like, I'm obsessed with him. But I love that. I love your story, and I'm gonna keep going from there though, because I'm sure everyone wants to know, because you mentioned it, like coming home, because that is a big thing. Like, we think we're gonna have more time. We always want to put this power on these excuses of like in thinking they're almost reasons. Like I can't work my business consistently because I have a job, or I can't work my business consistently because like I'm constantly doing XYZ. And if we feel like if we can like remove those, then yeah, we got it. We have time. But like you were saying, that's just not the case. Like at all. It typically has that opposite effect where you're saying like you just lost track of everything. You got comfortable, you got complacent, and all of a sudden you didn't have the like need to be scheduled. So therefore you didn't tell your time where to go and the days just ran away. So what was the pivot that you made when you recognized like, holy crap, not where I want to be. This is not happening. How did you take charge of your time again and get that flowing for yourself?
I feel like for me, it was, I was so sick and tired of not being able to afford things again. Like having to pull out that credit card again, like that was detrimental to me. It did not feel good. It did not feel good. Like, and I feel like for myself, like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but when I first started this, I didn't have support from my parents. Like they just weren't supportive at all. My dad, honestly, he made fun of me for months. Like he literally was like, this is a joke. And it wasn't until like I had a comma in my paycheck when he started to like actually be like, oh wow, this is actually like legit, you know? So I didn't have like a huge support system in the beginning, but in that moment, like I was kind of getting little voices in my ear from my parents, and it really pissed me off, and it kind of like drove me like I need to get out of their house. And I love my parents dearly, but it was kind of just like a reality check. I'm like, this is just not acceptable. Like I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. Like that was me, is I wanted to stay away from that. I never wanted to go back to that. And when your why is so strong and you're like, screw this, like I'm over this, like, I will never go back to a corporate job. Why? Because I was so unhappy. I was surrounded by such negative people, and it was not fun. I like having my time. And so I knew in that moment I had to realize like that reality check, like it was Christmas, to be honest, like it was Christmas. And I'm like, I was doing great earlier this year, and now look at this. Like the year before, I paid Christmas in cash, and I'm like, what am I doing now? And I think it was that around Christmas time when I had that reality check, and I realized that I just needed to get out that next chart, because the thing that I wasn't doing is I did not have my chart in front of me at all times. And so when I've promoted in the past, I know exactly what I need, because our chart is our roadmap. And if y'all know me, I am not a green personality. So I know sometimes it's like you don't want to know all the details, but then it's like, well, I do need to know the details because then I can't hit my goal. And so for me, I literally was just so laser focused. And I was telling everyone on social media where I was going. I told my family, I told my husband, well, we were actually just talking at the time, but a couple months later is when we started dating. But I just had to like cast more vision to my team because I wasn't doing that. And so when I started casting more vision into my life and realizing like where does Kaitlyn want to be in the next few months and not at a 9 to 5, that was like my reality check. And I just started getting out that next chart and figuring out exactly what my next goal was. And I kid y'all not, like I just had it so heavy on my heart that I was going to go triple in April. We were so far away. I had no idea. And it wasn't even fully the triple part. It was just like, I'm ready to get to where I was, but beyond that. And I made it all about my team as well. It wasn't just, oh, Kaitlyn wants these goals. I wanted more people to experience what this business can do, because obviously I've experienced it and more people deserve that. And I also started praying over my team instead of just, treating each box as a random person or like just as a box. When you actually value the people that are on your chart and you actually pray over them, that's when things start to shift. And that's when I started mass enrolling. Like, here's the thing, like, especially if you're ready to go on a huge run, you have to mass enroll distributors. I will 100% say that you have to get good at signing distributors, because my first 2 years in the business, I said, I can't sign distributors, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until I said, no, I'm doing a disservice not sharing this with more people, because again, I knew what it could do for me. I know there's other Kaitlyns out there. So I know I mentioned a lot on that, but I I took my business into my own hands, and I wasn't relying on someone else to do it, if that makes sense.
That was so good. it was so many different things, but now I'm writing down like 12 questions from that. So like it was just so good. And it is like you were saying, sometimes like it's easier to run from things than it is to run to things. I know I see that in my business a lot when I hit a goal and it's like, okay, let's dream bigger. Sometimes it's at least being like, I don't know, I'm a red personality. So it's like sometimes that like lofty, happy dream of like, oh yeah, this would be nice isn't enough to motivate me to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you light the fire of like, I sure as heck don't want to go back to what I was doing before, it's sometimes way easier to run away from something. So if you're finding yourself stuck, guys, of like, I know I want to get to XYZ, but like, it's just not connecting on the inside, maybe look at it from the opposite side. Like not looking of like looking back, but like setting a standard of knowing that if you don't change what you're doing day to day, you start recreating the cycles that puts you back. And so be so heck bent that you're going to run away from the life that you joined this business to run away from. Do the things daily to start crafting the habits that are going to keep you on the path towards the big happy goal. But sometimes we got to have that like butt kicker of making sure we don't go back to that life. So you were talking when you were, I mean, that's a big jump. Like, let's pause. Okay. That's a big jump. You said it was what? Ruby in January. And then triple was April.
Yep.
You guys heard that? And like, yes, she had been double before and all of that, but she wasn't double. So like, you guys can scratch that. Cause I know that's one thing that I've always done. And I hear a lot. It's like, well, you've done it before. Like you were already double. So like, of course you could, no guys, she was freaking Ruby. Okay. She was Ruby and went triple diamond in like 4 months. That goes
It still blows my mind too, y'all. I'm like, whoa.
It's so crazy though. And God, I was listening to gosh, I can't even remember the song or the exact way it was said, but I was listening to a song earlier and it was talking about like God is a God of prophecy. So what he does for someone else, he can do it for you. And like, I just feel like that applies here. Like you were saying, it wasn't Kaitlyn. Like, it wasn't you showing up and you doing different. It was like, you got serious about your team. You prayed over them. You like brought God into it differently. And like, God is a God of prophecy, y'all. If he can do that for Kaitlyn, think about where you're at right now in your business. Maybe you're not Ruby. So maybe that's what we're going to do to end the month, or maybe that's what you do next month. Who cares if it's this month, next month, or the month after that, if you know that you have the possibility of triple diamond in 4 months. Or in 5 or in 6 or whatever, you know, God does for you. But if he can do that for her, he can do that for you. And I just, as someone who's been pushing for triple for a very long time, I just love the idea. Like God's just so cool the way he works like that. I want you to touch a little bit more. You said that you had shifted of like, you started getting loud about your goals on social media and you were, you know, casting that vision for yourself, but you needed to cast it for your team too. Because a lot of times when we do step back, or maybe when we're frustrated that we're not achieving what we set out to do, it makes it really difficult to make other people believe they can do it. Like we're coming from a place, even if we're filling up, we're still coming up from a place of a form of empty because we don't see it for ourselves. So being in that place, because I mean, you went from double to Ruby, like you're not feeling hot about yourself. It's a lot, I know, of faking it till you're making it and creating that image or that energy. How did you get that vision casting for your team started? Because I do feel like that is such a big thing. You're going to diamond, to double, to beyond. You can't do it for yourself. You've got to do it for your people. So how did you start making that shift with your team?
So 100%, you have to do a lot of self-development. I did a lot. I poured into myself every single day. I was making sure I was journaling every single day. And my girl Kelsey's actually on here, and I will never forget. This is just kind of like to take you guys back, especially if you're in like that early stage of like Ruby, Emerald, like wanting to go diamond. I'll never forget, like when I locked arms with Kelsey, we literally journaled every single day that we were a diamond team. I proclaimed it every single day. I said, I am a strong diamond leader. I am earning and I still remember the bonus because that's how powerful it was. It was a $7,500 bonus. I said, I am earning the $7,500 bonus. My team is on fire. I am attracting my dream team. I am attracting my dream clients. I'm a money magnet. And so I started doing that again during that. Was a lot of self-development, and you just have to get over yourself and you have to act like where you want to be. So if you want to be a diamond or above leader or a triple diamond leader, what do those people do? Are they super quiet? Do they never show up? Are they not bold on social media? Like, it's one of those things that you just have to take ownership of that and just know it does take a lot of work to get there. And just know those 4 months were, not even gonna lie, they were hell. Okay. It was really hard, but there was a lot of excitement behind it too. And so I was just constantly doing that for myself. I was filling my cup up first because you can't pour out of an empty cup. And so as long as you're pouring into yourself daily, you're able to overfill that into your girls. And that way you can individually figure out exactly what the girls on your team, what do they want? Why did they join? And if you can just even give them that little glimpse of like, girl, I am so excited for you to get your first bonus. Like, what is that going to pay for? And you just, it's those little nuggets. And then once they accomplish that, oh my gosh, let's get you another bonus. And then you focus on Ruby. And it's like those little things, because especially like when you want big jumps, sometimes it's like you're trying to cast too much vision to someone. And then they're like, whoa, 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 like I can't even think that far ahead. But if you give them that next step of like, what do they want? Because they might be like, I might not want diamond right now. Like that might not be their goal. They might just need an extra $200 to pay the bills, you know? But yeah, build upon everyone, create the momentum, and just know like the leader leads the pack. So don't wait on your team though. I did not wait on my team to enroll. I took full initiative. And this is a little side note, but I feel like I should share this because I think this might be good for you too, Mariah, is especially for like leaders that I don't know if I should share this, but I think it's a good idea because this is what helped me. Okay. I'm not going to even lie. Okay. You guys, when I had that huge jump, I was obviously very scared of, what's the word? Sometimes it's scary because you're like, oh gosh, trusting all these different leaders in these top spots. I personally signed my mom. So my mom actually, well, she was the one that told me she wanted to join. And this was when I was single. So like obviously I didn't have a spouse. If I had a spouse at the time, I would have probably done that. But if you can get good at signing DTs, I would encourage to have a second account. Okay. I built my mom's legs very strong, very strong. And I know that's why that promotion happened because I had a strong leader, a strong leader, a strong leader, a strong leader, and a semi-strong leader. So, and now I just actually, and here's the thing too, is I kind of like, this is a side note, but when I actually was in Jamaica, I was talking to Stacey Alcala and I was like, I really want to boost my paychecks. Like I want to get to certain points in my business. And she was like, you need to talk to Mira Denning. So I ended up doing a Zoom with Mira Denning. And Mira was basically like, Kaitlyn, why don't you have an account for your husband? Why are you building all these girls? You're a mass recruiter. Why are you building everyone? And I wasn't building everyone, but I was just giving people way too many distributors. And she was like, Kaitlyn, you know how to enroll a lot. And I'm not like a crazy like mass enroller. Like I'm not always the top DT enroller. Okay. I do normally sign 10 plus a month, but I mean, there's girls that have signed like 20, 30, whatever. But what I'm here to say though, is I'm doing that now with my husband's team. And I kid y'all not, I promoted him to Ruby this month. We're still pushing towards Emerald for his account. And I just signed him like a month or two ago. I have double stacked, like strong. And guess what? He naturally promoted to Ruby and I only enrolled maybe 300 volume. So that's the thing. That's why you need to sign a lot of distributors and just work really closely and cast that vision to each individual one and believe that they're going to stay. Because I feel like sometimes we get so in our head, oh, this person's not doing anything, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, sometimes that happens, but take a step back and just be a friend to them, build those relationships. And I will tell you, I don't know if any of my new girls are on here, but my new girls, I am so close with right now. Like we literally talk on the phone for like 30 minutes to an hour, like build those strong bonds and post on social media, attracting those right people. Cause like, if y'all know me, I love Jesus. So like I post a lot of Christian stuff. And so like all my new people all love Jesus. And so it's just finding your tribe, I feel like. So I know that was a little off, but I just felt like I should share that because that's what helped me to do that. And now I'm doing the same thing with my husband. And it's kind of like more exciting too, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to get him to diamond next month and I'm going to get him to double and we're going to go press. It's just like, I don't know. It's just super exciting, but that's just like a little side tip.
I love it. Keep the side tips coming. I don't think anyone's going to complain, but it's been asked in the chat a couple times. And you know, this is going to be the meat of what we wanted to talk about anyways. We want to know not just how you're signing distributors, because let's be honest, anyone can sign 10 distributors in a month. Like if they really work at it, they can sign 10 distributors, but you're not doing it in just a month. You're doing it every month. And that takes a whole different level of finesse, of consistency, and of systems to not just sign mass enroll distributors this month, but to do it month after month, and then to see success with those distributors. So can you kind of walk us through what you've put together of how you recruit and then how you help them find that success?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, you got to decide you're going to sign a lot. Okay. Because again, like my first 2 years in the business, I literally was not a good DT enroller. Okay. I maybe signed like 5 or 7 in a 12-month time period. Okay. For 2 years in a row. What do you think changed? My mindset. And I chose to sign more because I had to remember that I'm doing a disservice not sharing this with more people. And I'm a like a mix of like a red and yellow personality because I can be super blunt at times, but I also am like, I really want to help people because like I feel like my mission statement is I don't like people settling at all in any area of life because I've been there, relationships, all of that. But I will say with like signing a lot of distributors, like it's just I feel like you have to give yourself a goal for every month. So like how many distributors do you want to sign? How many customers do you want to sign every month? And for me, like my standard is 10. So if I'm slipping, I know I'm not talking to enough people, right? So I encourage you to have like a goal for yourself on every single month. And I feel like 10's my sweet spot because sometimes like I think one of my higher months was like 16, 17. Sometimes that gets a little overwhelming. I can handle like 8 to 10. Sometimes, I mean, I'm at 12, I think, for the month right now. But so I make that decision on what my goal is for distributors. Ultimately, my goal was 20 actually this month because I really wanted to stretch myself, but it's okay. We still got another day. So we still got codes. Okay. But that's the first thing. The next thing is sharing your story all the time. I get super vulnerable and transparent. I let people know on social media, I know what it's like to live in the negatives. I know what that feels like. And if you can have your post be super emotional, that's when people start to connect with you more. And so I've actually signed multiple girls that have gone through broken engagements. I've signed multiple girls that have worked 3 jobs because I post about I've worked 3 jobs. And a lot of people, and it's actually funny, y'all know me, my little side notes, but I actually have a girl I went to high school with, and we recently connected, and we're now going to a Bible study every other Saturday. And you want to know what's crazy is there was 12 of us. This is local. She actually basically said my story for me and said, "Oh yeah, Kaitlyn used to work 3 jobs and now she does this business. She does it full time." That's what I want to be well known for. Cause I'm like, whoa. And like me and her don't talk about the business like ever. So I thought that was really interesting that she sees that, and that just goes to show that I've been consistent, right? And so that's a part of it is sharing my story. But also, I will say, like in the beginning, you got to ask people. So I would challenge all of you, make it your goal every single day to get 5 to 10 new potential distributors, not repeat 5 to 10 every day. Because if you do that, you're naturally going to start enrolling DTs every single week. And if you notice at the end of the night, you're like, oh gosh, I only have like 1 new potential distributor. Send out some more messages. And the ways that I get a lot of distributors is, and what's working really good for me right now is Instagram DT Hap. Whenever I'm doing giveaway videos on TikTok, I get them on Instagram. I have them all post about the business on their stories. And 9 times out of 10, they're always saying, what's this? What is this opportunity? I give them my information. And I will tell you this too. If you can get a solid DT conversation down, and I can share with you guys mine, I've literally been probably using the same DT convo for the last like 4 years. I've maybe tweaked a couple words, but it's the same thing. And I let an opportunity video seal the deal for me. It's just flawless. And so if you can get super confident with your conversation, that's what gave me the confidence as well too. But DT Hap, also offering the business after host post. So on Facebook and Instagram, that works chef's kiss. Another thing that my team has been doing is, I just had like a brain fart moment. Just reaching out. So like people on social media that you've been building relationships with, just simply ask why, because that's how I joined. I was simply asked. I never interacted on any of my leaders' posts, by the way. I didn't interact on anything. She just built a relationship with me, randomly said, hey, should you be interested, blah, 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 make an extra income online. I'm like, sure, here we are. You know what I mean? So like, that's why I will always message people as well. I don't do that. I personally don't do that as often just because I get so many messages the other way. I will say also another thing too is I offer positions in a lot of my posts. So I'll say like, if you're anything like me, you know, like I've decided to open up X amount of positions. If you're needing to make an extra, whatever, like 500 plus a month, you know, comment below or message me opportunity for more info. Make sure you have influencer applications in your bio. And last but not least, you got to follow up. Like, you want to know what's really crazy? 2 of my distributors this month have followed me for over 4 years, and they finally joined. And I really feel like that's something that that's good for everyone, is make sure you're so consistent. I know there's sometimes it's so hard, like, you know, you just don't want to post, whatever. Just stay consistent, because you never know when that person's going to be ready. And I have a girl, I don't know if she's on here, but my new girl, Alyssa, I kid y'all not, she has left me on red for the last 3 years. And out of the blue, she messaged me last month. She said, I'm ready. How much is it to join? She joined. She's already boxed Ruby. She just completed her first 4-in-1 and she's killing it. And I'm like, where were you years ago? But it wasn't her time. She didn't need it bad enough. And so I have 3 girls that have joined this past month, and they've all followed me. One has actually followed me for almost 8 years since I joined. And so I know that's like a lot. But and then the second part was how to get them going, right? Okay. So
Before you jump into that, though, I have a follow-up.
yeah.
So you're doing multiple platforms. I want you to touch on that real quick before you jump in, because I know like I've always been like diehard Facebook, and like if you guys are diehard Facebook or work on Facebook at all, you know, like right now it's just not what it used to be. It's a lot harder to navigate. There's a lot more flags. Like it's just become one of those. So I've started working through multiple platforms as well. So how does that kind of look in a balance? Like, what are you like, where are you seeing those results? How do you maybe like flip differently? And then, for example, this is a personal question. If you sign a distributor on Instagram, are you training them to work Instagram? Or are you like, we're going to do all the things? Like, kind of, how are you doing? Like, if that made sense of a question, balancing the different platforms and then like using that, I guess.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, like, I'm not the best at like, and I do love, like, I just make sure I show up on all of my platforms. So I don't really have like a rule of thumb on, I mean, I do a lot. I will say I do a lot on Facebook, but what I've learned is, you know, especially like with, for example, say I'm like losing her Facebook, like it's different things like that where I'm like, I want to make sure I'm utilizing all different platforms. Because I have signed, like, I mean, I have one girl that signed on the spot from the DT, like she came from TikTok, you know, but I will say when I'm training, we do the exact same training for everyone. So my ambassador, Katie Bevington, we have like a whole training system, but honestly, the main things that we get them started on right away is getting them to post about the gummies post. That's their first post. And then afterwards, a couple hours later, they basically have a post that says something about like, I can't believe that I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. Like it talks a little bit about their story. And then it mentions that they're needing like product testers. So that's kind of like the entry level for newbies. But we have them post on both Facebook and Instagram. And then once they're comfortable, we'll start tapping them into reels as well. Cause a lot, like, especially like a lot of our really young girls that are like 19, 20, they're killing it on TikToks and reels. Like they're just blowing up. But we don't like obviously like force videos, but we encourage it because we're like, do it along the sides of doing host to post because sometimes content might take a little bit to get traction. So we always make sure that they're doing host to post primarily on Facebook. But of course, like if they're doing like giveaway reels and stuff like that, that's where they're going to get more like Instagram stuff. But like if they're more comfortable with sending out more stuff on Instagram, then like I'll kind of try and adjust with them. Like I have one girl, she's just mainly Instagram. And I'm just like, okay, like, like but I will always encourage primarily host posts on Facebook and then letting the reels allow you to get the host post up on Instagram, if that makes sense.
I love that. And then you also mentioned like getting new potentials, not just like following up with the people who followed you for 8 years. Like obviously you're still doing that because you've got them signing, but that's not, you're doing a balance of both. And I feel like especially when you've been around for a bit, that's like one of those like ruts we get stuck in almost where we're like, but I have, 1,000 potential distributors. Like I'm just going to keep, going through this list and going through this. And that's where we get so burnt out on signing distributors because you think like we almost like assume the sale too much because they expressed interest once. So how are you keeping yourself from that? And like, how are you like, I mean, I know you said you're doing distributor host to post and then like you're doing cold messages on Instagram, you said, I think. And like, how are you making sure that you're bringing in those new leads every day? Because sometimes like 5 to 10 in a day can seem like a lot. And so if you're not counting follow-ups with that, how are you making sure you're still hitting those minimums every day?
Yeah. So of course, like I try to make my minimum 5. I'm not going to say I'm absolutely perfect. There's some days that I might fall short. Especially if I have like a lot of follow-ups to do that day. Like if I had a lot of people that were supposed to sign. But I will say like a lot of the times, a lot of my DT haps effortlessly go up just because of the giveaway videos. So I would recommend doing giveaway videos pretty consistently, not every single day. But until they start to take off, maybe do them every few days. I'm actually really tapping back into videos because I haven't been as consistent with them. But I'm getting back to it. I'm like, because like if my team's gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, But I will say is mainly the DT haps on Instagram. There's also a really good DT hap on Facebook that I'm also using as well. So especially if I notice like I'm just not getting many potential distributors, I'll do that. Another thing that works really well too is message people that have been liking your post. And so that really helps a lot in addition, but I feel like especially like just simply messaging people that are active, like on Facebook. Like I feel like sometimes we overthink that as well too. But I feel like especially when you're doing a host post, because if you like for my team, our goal is 5 to 10 a day for host posts on Facebook, right? And so after every single host post, I have us send a message and it offers the products and the business. That's how I get a lot of my potential distributors too, is from that. But I don't know. It's just more, to be honest, like I've just learned this over the years, especially with my leader, because especially like for me, I was getting frustrated because I was actually going through some of my follow-ups today. And I'm like, this person has left me on red for like 5,000 years. I'm like, it's one of those things, like, I'm not going to like not message them, but I've also messaged them like 100 times, like literally 100 times. I know if they're meant to be here, they'll come to me, but I will say is you really got to grow a new network. Cause I feel like that's in the season I'm in right now is I need a complete new Facebook network because I have a handful of people. They haven't responded in like 5 years. And I'm just like, okay, it's time to just have a fresh network. And also I feel like maybe somebody needs to hear this. I used to be so scared to unfriend people, but I'll never forget there was actually one time where this was a few years ago. I randomly had this girl message me and she was just like ready to order and she ordered like $200 worth of products. And so she ordered and then I was about to add her to our Facebook customer group. And then all of a sudden I realized we weren't even Facebook friends. Somehow I unfriended her like forever ago, I guess, because we stopped connecting. Then we Facebook friend each other and I got her in. So it's one of those things that like, don't be scared. At the end of the day, everything does happen for a reason. God's got you. If they're meant to be here and you somehow unfriend them, that's why you want to keep your Facebook book or your Facebook post public, because that's how you're going to, there's going to be those people. Like I've had multiple messages recently of just random people. Like I haven't talked to them forever. So does that answer? Hopefully that answered.
It does. Those were some like personal questions that I'm thinking through. So they were not well asked. So you handled it well. So we're good. So we had about 15 minutes left. So I want you to tell me about how we got him in. You've gone through a bunch of that. So hopefully that helped answer some of the questions I've seen in the chat for you guys. If you do have a specific question about how she's recruiting, put it in the chat and we'll try to touch on it at the end. But you're seeing success. And I feel like that's the missing link a lot, especially when it comes to mass enrolling, is because sometimes we get so focused on ourselves, right? Like we want to mass enroll and we start finding worth and value in mass enrolling. But guys, it doesn't matter if you sign 100 distributors if they do nothing. Like that's not going to cut it. That doesn't make you a bigger, better person. It doesn't give you this prestige. We feel like it does, but I'm a mass enroller. But mass enrolling is really, it's not it, you guys. Okay. It's mass enrolling, but making mass impact. And that's what you're doing right now. You've got people coming in, but then you're really taking care of them. And you've learned how to scale that and do it with more people. And so how are you getting them in and then taking care of them, especially with that, bigger number of having that 8 to 10 a month, that you're not losing people, you're still having time to connect, but also live your life and, run your personal business. So kind of give us all the deets on that side of things.
Yeah. So this is actually, so I'll share like one thing that I'm starting to work on implementing is I'm working on having a better distributor tracker, because to be honest, I have slipped through the cracks before. And I will go back there and I'll be like, oh crap, I haven't talked to my newbie in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, ah. And so I feel like, at the end of the day, just remember, like, obviously not every single distributor is going to work, right? But don't think that, like, expect them to actually follow what you're doing, right? And so I feel like just having those bonds on figuring out exactly why they're here, be excited for them, plug in with them. And I try to stay in constant communication with my newbies every day, especially for their first couple weeks. Obviously, again, I'm human, so I might miss a day or two, but I do try to stay in contact. And I always let them know, when you're done with this, let me know when you're done. So that way they know to come to me. So a lot of the times my newbies will come to me. And I always tell them too, like, make sure you send me screenshots. I'm like super excited. I want to make sure I help you like seal the deal and get your first customer. Like, I just make it so exciting for them to let them know, like, just make sure you let me know once you have somebody interested so I can help you. And so when I remind them of that, that helps a lot too. But having a better distributor tracker, because that's something that I've been really working on this month. I'm still working on some of the tweaks, but that helps a lot. And also another thing too is, for example, especially like with the new bonuses, like the 4-in-1s, this is something that I've been horrible about in the past, but I'm getting a lot better at, is I'm double checking how many days they have left to finish a 4-in-1. So like, for example, I have a couple girls, like they're literally like one customer away from like finishing theirs this month, before it like resets for the next 30 days. You know what I mean? And so I'm making sure that they know that as well. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I want to let you know that you're only this away, blah, blah, blah. Just having like that excitement towards that. But I will say too is, I let them know, and this is actually something else that me and a couple of my leaders are starting to implement too, is having them make a list of like 20 to 30 people that they personally know, friends and family, and basically asking for support. Kind of like the chicken noodle soup or list that we used to do back in the day. I'm trying to work towards getting back to that. And I actually found, and I can share this with you if you need it. I got this from another leader. It's like a little photo and it has like the full catalog, basically. Like it has like all the a lot of the main products on it. And so I found this like simple message, and we have 2 different versions that we do. Sometimes they'll have a longer story. Sometimes it might just be a short message, but it just basically says like, hey, like I just started my own small business and I just, here's some of the products that we have. Just wanted to see if you'd be willing to help support me. And so that's helping some of my girls get a couple of their first customers. Also jump starting them right away into host to post and just reassuring them. Like I kind of try and give them that heads up that, it's okay if you don't sign a customer your first day, but, making it their goal of let's get your first bonus within your first week. So I'm constantly like reaffirming that as well. I think you said something, asked me something else, and I completely just like blanked out.
You're on the right track. You're doing good. Just kind of like what you're doing with them. Like, obviously, you guys have great training systems and stuff, but like a training system can only do so much. A lot of it, I believe, is from that individual relationship. And I feel like that's sometimes really hard, especially if you're not used to mass enrolling, to go from like, well, I'm struggling to help one person do this. How the heck would I connect and have time with 8 to 10? And so kind of how you're building that.
Okay, so 100% voice messaging. Voice messaging is going to be your little BFF. And so especially as you're busy, like sometimes the dog's crazy, sometimes my husband's playing his video games and he's acting crazy in the background. I mean, life's going to happen. But I do try to get back to my newbies pretty quickly. I do have them labeled in my phone. So I think that's something that's really important is have them labeled in your phone. I actually have like the date that they joined. So that way it helps me to be able to be better on track. Like, oh, this is like a newbie. I need to make sure like I'm really like on top of that. Cause I used to be really bad about not saving everyone like that. That helps really well. Voice messaging and also getting on like a quick one-on-one with them too. If you can tell they're like super excited and everything, I try to get on a FaceTime or a Zoom or something just to get more like of that intentional connection and make it all about them. Normally that first little FaceTime or Zoom, I try to keep it super short, like 20 minutes. I'll make it all about them. Tell me about you. I want to know what you do. What's your schedule like? And that really has helped a lot. And then I haven't done this in a while, but was talking to some of my leaders and I want to start implementing this again, is getting back to newbie Zooms because newbie Zooms have really helped a lot. Is just, having those basic walkthroughs. But I will say something else that really, really helped with my team this past week is we did a Zoom last week and it was actually supposed to be a work Zoom, right? It was supposed to be me and a couple girls. We were going to all share different tips. Well, God had something else in planned. And let's just say it ended up just being a very heartfelt Zoom. Just, relating to each person, passing that vision, letting them know that I'm so excited to be there for them and letting them know like my story on like the impact this has made on me as well. And allowing them to experience that connection and let them know like I've been in your shoes and I want you to know that you guys have got this. Like I'm so excited for that. But I feel like just, I feel like here's something that helps too. In the mornings, I try to get as much of my work done as possible. So that way the rest of the day I can just get back to my messages and just help my newbies. So it's really important to split your time because the one thing you don't want to do, and I've had leaders do this in the past, and I'm like, please don't ever do this ever again, is they spend way too much time training their new people that they don't even bring in their own enrollments. And so I'll never forget there was I don't remember who said it. I think it was Cammie back in the day, but they were talking about the 3 C's, about splitting, or not three C's, but they were splitting up their time in thirds. On 1/3 of your time should be on self-development, 1/3 on your time should be on your own business, and 1/3 of your time should be training your team. Because of course, as a leader, it is important to stay connected with your team, but make sure first thing in the morning, you still do your own self-development, work your own business, get your stuff done first thing in the morning. That way throughout the day, it doesn't stress me out helping so many people. But also if you feel overwhelmed signing 8 to 10 people, that's okay. Start with 5 because I had to work up to that, but I have felt comfortable with that for years too. So like, it's one of those things is once you get comfortable starting to train one, training another will get easier too.
That's so good. So I want to piggyback off of that. So what does your day look like? Because you're saying like, so my team, we work in shifts, and so we have 3 shifts
Yeah.
in a day. So with that, because I know personally, I've been struggling like my morning, afternoon, we are good and flying high. But then by the evening, I feel like I am battling my time between my family, my shift, and my team. And so I love the idea because I was talking to another leader, I don't know, a week or so ago, and she does very similar like what you're saying. And she's like, I get my stuff done in the morning. And so it opens up the day. And so I love this idea. And it's something I want to implement. But what does that look like for you with your mass enrolling? You're able to do this, you're able to connect. So it's the system you have is working for you. So what does that kind of look like in your day of what you're accomplishing? Like your goal to make sure this is done in the morning so it frees up the rest of your day.
Yeah. So now I will say, especially like I don't have kids, so I can work my business a little bit differently than a lot of people. So I don't have like a super strict schedule, but I will say like in the mornings, I've actually started getting back to the gym. So I'm going like super early with my friend that she's a cosmetologist. So like obviously like we go kind of early, but what I've been trying to do is, or not, I don't like to say try. What I've been doing is I like to send out, well, I like to send out host post messages before bed because that kind of sets the tone for the next day. But what I like to do is I get up a post in the morning, I post on my stories, like about the products or whatever it may be. I also get up a post on Facebook. I'm getting out my host post messages. I'm doing inbox clean out. I'm making sure I'm responding to all of my people, and also doing fast follow up. I actually have like this new like system. I kind of got it from actually Courtney Grutza. I kind of have followed her shifts as well too. So, I mean, there are some days where I will do some of my tasks later in the day if I didn't get enough potentials or something throughout like in the morning, because obviously like if I only work in the morning, I just try to get most of my messaging done in the morning. So like a lot of posts, a lot of following up, a lot of inbox clean out. I like to do some boosting like mid to late morning, afternoon. I feel like that time works really good for me. So I do work a lot of my primary business in the morning and afternoon because we do like afternoon power hours with our team as well too. But I would say that's something that has really helped is I try to get my reach out messages done more so in the morning. And I've been also working on, if I have a few minutes here and there, if I know like I have a follow up I need to send out like 4 o'clock like that's different because I'll have like that follow up like in my phone. But that's the main thing that I try to do is I try to get out as many follow ups and like host post messages, stuff like that first thing in the morning because it really, I, I honestly just kind of hate the way it feels like if I haven't done a lot of messaging at the end of the day or like afternoon, it just kind of feels like so if you can get out as many as you can, or if you need to even set timers for every couple hours, that works really good too. But I try to get it at least done majority the first portion of the day. It might be in the afternoon a little bit, but that way most of the afternoon, late afternoon into the evening, it's a lot of helping my team and just responding to messages as well.
I love that. And so you mentioned your distributors, like with potential distributors, you're wanting 5 to 10 new potential distributors every day. So what is your other numbers? Like what are you looking for host to post? You guys are doing 5 to 10 a day. What does your customer look like? Like how many new, I'm assuming again, it's a differentiation between follow-ups and new with customers too. So what are those numbers looking like?
So for customers, I try to do the same thing, 5 to 10, every single day because, and again, like not every day is perfect. Like if I notice like my inbox is extremely full, then I might not go crazy extra. But if you don't have a crazy, like hundreds of messages on a consistent basis, make it your goal 5 to 10 every single day. But I will say my customers mainly come from, and I've actually signed, I think three or four in the last couple days. I was kind of off to a slow start this month. So just know Kaitlyn's not always like, "Woo, okay, but stay super consistent. But a lot of my customers recently have been coming from host post. And here's the other thing about host post. Go ahead and put in the chat if sometimes host post pisses you off and you're like, I need to change my host post every 5 seconds. Okay. You got to stop doing that. And what's so funny is my husband actually called me out on this the other day. This was a couple weeks ago. He's like, Kaitlyn, you're asking everyone what host posts they're doing. He's like, when you went triple, you didn't ask anybody what they were doing. You just did all the same thing. And I'm like, you're right. And so I found one host post, one product host post that I'm just running with because I know it works. I've signed at least a couple customers from it. Just stick with one and run with it. Stop overthinking all the host posts and just take advantage of that. Another thing is reaching out, especially obviously we're going after these bonuses, right? Ask people. I have like a reach out message. I have two that I really, really, really like. One of them basically mentions that I'll throw out like some free product with them ordering, like I'm going after a huge bonus, blah, 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 blah. I have another one that's very similar as well. And it basically just is asking like if they want to become a product tester. And so I try to send out as many of those messages as I can. I do Facebook and Instagram. Facebook, I like to message people that are active. Instagram, I'll just go down like my following list or people that are viewing my stories or liking my stuff. But that's what has been working really good for that. Also boosting posts. So make sure you guys are boosting your post because I will never forget. Go ahead and really quick, put a 1 in the chat if you have never done boosting and put a 2 if you have. Because if you've never done boosting, I'm telling you, the first time I did it, I signed 7 customers in 2 days from boosting. And what boosting is, it's basically you find your old post and you boost it and you're like, FYI, this promotion's going on again. Like, who wants to lose 20 to 30 pounds by March? 5 spots open. And what starts happening is new people are going to start commenting. And then when I boost, I always follow up with the previous people that like or comment on that. And I just let them know, I put that sense of urgency on it. I let them know that this, I'm basically just seeing if I let them know, like, hey, I don't know if this, I'll have to share the message with you, but it basically says like, if it doesn't matter to you, like, I'm actually going after a huge bonus right now, like, blah, 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 like, can I count on your order or something like that? I have a couple different ones that work really well, kind of depending on how many times I've talked to them. But boosting helps effortlessly get new potentials, host post, reaching out, and then also doing reels too, like the product reels. Again, I haven't signed as many customers from that, but I know that's just, I haven't been as consistent with it. So
I love it. Guys, drop a 3 in the chat if you got something from this. Like, I literally am over here with like notes. Like, I'm a note taker anyways, but like I wrote a book. So I love it. This has been so good. So we're at the end of the month, right? Like, it is like done deal tomorrow. We are in the last final hours. So what would you want to leave everyone with who is pushing for those goals, the promotions, the bonuses, just wanting to get maybe a first customer or a couple more in? What would you leave? What tip, what belief, what you got for them?
Well, I'm just going to tell you this right now. Y'all better decide and figure out what the heck it is that you want to end the month with, because when we went triple diamond, you guys, here's the thing. The enemy is going to attack you. Okay. When God has a huge blessing about to happen, a huge promotion about to happen, the enemy is going to attack you. And the enemy attacked me really hard the second to the last day of the month. And I feel like I should share this because it was a God moment, but obviously we were still thousands and thousands away, okay, in the last 2 days. And everything started going wrong. I was at home and our security alarm went off. We have 2 dogs at my parents' house, so they were losing their absolute mind. My laptop was about to die. It was at like 10%. My phone was about to die at like 5%. How am I supposed to work a business, right? And so I went into like, oh no, like this is not happening. And of course, like anybody else could have said, oh, I guess my promotion's not supposed to happen. Oh no. I was like, we did not come this far to only come this far. And luckily at the time I was actually dating my husband and I called him. Luckily it was a Saturday. I said, hey, I need to come over. I don't have no power. My phone's about to die. Like, and I kid y'all not, that day I signed 11 customers. 11. And I've never done that before. And you know what's the craziest thing is half of them I hadn't talked to in years. And they just randomly were coming to me. I was so bold about my promotion that people I hadn't talked to in forever were literally just coming to me. People I hadn't talked to since high school. They were like, hey, I see this coffee. Let me order. So what I'm here to say is don't let the devil win. You win. If you have had it on your heart that you're going to promote this month, you better go to the finish line and finish it. I'll never forget when I was going Ruby, I was still over 200 volume away the last, I think, like 2 hours of the day of the month or whatever. Your girl got it done because I'm like, I am not getting this done. And so, I mean, I'll be honest right now, y'all might think I'm absolutely bonkers right now, but as of this morning, we were just under, I think we were 28, I think it was 28.46 away from Emerald for my husband's account. Do you think I care? We've had like 3 or 4 customers enroll today. I'm like, we're just going to go for it because I remember that month that we went triple, my enroller went ambassador and she woke up and she was like 50,000 away in the morning of the last day. And guess what? We got it done. So anything can happen. Just set your mind to it. Ask the people that you know if they're willing to support you, but just go all the way. And just know the way that you end this month is the way you start next month. So if you give up too soon, then you're probably going to have a late start in February. Do not do that, you guys. And I'm telling y'all, February is a short month. But again, that's the month I promoted to double diamond in 25 days. We only had 28 days that month. So I don't know about you guys, but these bonuses, it's a lot of money on the line. And there's a lot of people that really need this. Go share it with them. Go, just do everything that's out of your comfort zone and just go for it because you deserve it. You deserve these promotions, and the way that you end this month starts next month. So just go for it. I don't care if you're 1,000 volume away. There's girls on my team that have brought in 1,000 volume in one day before. Why not you? I have a girl that's literally 1,200 away from Ruby, and she's like, I'm just going for it. I'm like, do it. Yeah. I mean, we serve a God that has no limit. So ask him and you shall receive. He'll bless the work that you put your hands to, but he cannot bless the work that if you're sitting on your hands, he won't bless it. Not that he doesn't love you. He loves you, but he's not going to say, oh, here's all your customers and you've done nothing. He'll bless what you put your hands to. So just go for it, you guys. Like, what's the worst case scenario? You come short a customer. Okay, well, next month, then you can double promote, So if I can do it, you guys, if I could have that big jump, you guys can do it too. I'm nothing special. I wanted it really, really bad, so yeah.
So good. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn. This was so good. So I typically pray Zooms out before I jump in and do that. Would you like to pray us out or do you want me to do it?
Absolutely. I'd be honored. I'd love to.
Awesome. I don't want to throw you on the spot, but if you're open to it, I know we would love it.
Oh yeah, you guys, I'm on the prayer team at my church. Okay. So I pray all the time. I might not be the best, but I love to do it. So absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this Zoom. I thank you for Mariah and her team and my team. And I just thank you for It Works, just allowing us to be able to come together, Lord. And I just thank you for this opportunity just to allow us to know that we are worthy of so much more than we even think that we are. And God, I just pray that you bless all of our businesses, Lord. Bless the hands that we put, bless the work that we put our hands to, Lord. And I just pray that you help us encounter our dream clients, our dream team, just the people that really need this opportunity. And God, I just pray that you help us have a bigger vision for our lives because you did not put us on this earth to settle. You want us to prosper and to change more lives and for more people to know who you are. And I just thank you for this time together. And I just pray that you bless all of us, keep us healthy, keep us safe, and allow us to have an incredible month end going into February. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for hopping on. I will get the recording up tonight. It'll be on my YouTube. It's just first name, last name. And like always, I will see you guys on next week. Same time, same ID. Go out there, kill it over the next, 30 hours or however long we have left. It's plenty of time for you to go out there and rock your goals. I'm proud of you. We're praying for you. And I can't wait to celebrate with you guys. All right. Bye, friends.